We break down the juicy matchups in the NCAA tournament. The NFL legal tampering period begins, and Auburn head coach Bruce Pearl joins the show. I'm Jake Crane, and welcome to Crane & Company. The madness is officially upon us, starting today as the 2022 NCAA tournament play-in games get rolling tonight. And as you're filling out your bracket, don't fall for the easy trap of advancing all the top dogs outside of the one line. This tournament is as wide open as any I can remember. Many experts have made their upset predictions, and typically the ones that people are thinking will hit the most actually don't hit. There's no perfect formula or algorithm to fill out a bracket because it's pure madness. But either go with your gut or the person in the office that picks teams based off mascot name or the city they're located in. To put in perspective how wide open this tournament is, there's a pretty good chance that we could have no number one seeds in the Final Four. There could be more Cinderellas than a Disney World boardwalk, and the amount of games that are going to come down to the last possession will keep cardiologists on standby all over the country. And if you thought Caesar got stabbed in the back a lot in March, prepare for the same to happen to your bracket. But that's why we love the madness. So sit back and enjoy, everybody. The dance is about to start. Going to bring in my co-host, my brother Blaine Crane here. David Cohn, the man that's so tall, if he was a girl, his name would be Natalia. Blaine,
wow.
We got some playing games. I literally just came up with that.
I
literally just came up
with that. A word savant.
I know. It's like Dr. Seuss sometimes. Yeah. Blaine, we got some play-in games tonight, and I've gone through why I believe the play-in games shouldn't be reserved for teams that win their conference, the automatic qualifier, but I'll digress. I won't digress on that. When I look at all these play-in games, starting with Indiana and Wyoming, you look at UCLA last year, is there a little bit, as crazy as this sounds, some sort of a benefit for go ahead and getting a game underneath your belt, per se, to get it rolling in the tournament?
I wouldn't say too much. I think it depends on how much experience relatively you have on your team already that's been in the tournament.
True.
Like the guys, because it's such a different feel. It's one of those things you can only feel if you've been in it. That's why teams with players that have already been in the tournament, I think, in my head, succeed more because they know the feeling of it. Yeah. They're not surprised by the environment. So, I wouldn't say 100%. that a playing game helps to get your feet going, kind of get used to the vibe and everything. But, to me, I think Indiana, it's better for Indiana because the way they've been playing late in the year. I think they've been playing a lot better, and Indiana is starting to get healthy. And so Indiana will actually have new guys out there on the court that didn't play in the Big Ten tournament at all. So,
Cone, when I look at the playing games and I'm looking at the bracket overall, like I was just talking about, is this one of the years? Because all that you're going to have the experts and everybody we've heard, UAP over Houston, South Dakota State over Providence. It seems to me like all the upsets that typically everybody jumps on, they don't happen. Do you think that's because maybe a team like Providence is hearing all this, or Houston that's got a group of guys that have won 30 games basically every year for the last 3 years? Do you think that it's almost a disadvantage to the higher seeds of the 13s and the 12s for people to actually say they're going to get upset because the lower seeds are like, no, we're not going to overlook these people?
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. I mean, there always seems to be this idea when you're filling out a bracket that, well, I have to have a 5-12 upset, right? Or a 6-11. You have to have at least one 7-10 or maybe two 7-10s. I mean, to me, it should come down to the matchup, right? What is the matchup? What is the personnel that's on the court? Almost try your best to take away the seeding and the numbers by the team, and especially the records.
Yeah.
Don't even look at that as a reference. Like, do your due diligence in terms of what is the matchup on the court. It'll be interesting to see. Maybe this could be a year where we have fewer upsets in the early rounds. Like, that could be a thing that happens. But then, also to your point, maybe no 1s or 2 seeds make it to the Final Four. I mean, I'm looking at this. When you talk about Tennessee being a 3 and Arkansas being a 4, Iowa could come out as a 5. I mean, it really could happen this year.
It could, and I want to break down these play-in games because we do have 2 tonight, 2 tomorrow. Then we kick off technically the first round on Thursday. Let's jump in to Texas Southern versus Texas A&M. Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
Because Texas A&M
Got robbed.
got robbed. John Dillinger showed up at the bank. Give me all the money. You're going to have to chase me down the road. When I look at Texas Southern, I do think Texas Southern is the better team. I think they're a 3.5-point favorite. They beat Florida earlier in the year. They've played a pretty tough schedule. I look at the analytics of this game when you really do a numbers deep dive. Texas Southern, they're not the best shooting team, but they do a really good job of getting second chance points, and which means they're great at offensive rebounding. Corpus Christi's pretty good at offensive rebounding as well. But a big difference here is with the amount of slashers that Texas Southern has, Corpus Christi fouls at a very high rate. They're one of the worst teams in the country of putting other teams on the free throw line. When you look at this game between two definitely mid-major teams, two teams that a lot of people probably haven't kept up with all year, are you leaning one way or the other? We're going to get into picks, but for our people out there trying to break down this game, what are a couple things you think we should be looking for?
Look, I like Texas Southern in this matchup. And again, something that I always talk about when it comes to college basketball, and we talk about this with Bruce Pearl later, is momentum, right? This is an example. I mean, Texas Southern had a rough start to the season, right? But they're peaking at the right time. And so I think that I like Texas Southern in this matchup, and maybe it'll make an appearance in my pick section.
It could. It may make an appearance in mine. Ooh. Nobody look at the chalkboard of emotional justice, feelings, and friendship behind me. Blaine, what are your thoughts on this game? Right. Got two Davids versus Davids. Who's got the better slingshot?
Wow, I love what you did there. So Texas Southern. The one thing about Texas Southern is their schedule. They have the 14th toughest non-conference schedule.
And they beat Florida.
Yeah, they beat Florida. They played against some guys. All right, head coach Johnny Jones plays the most bench minutes than any other team.
Former LSU coach.
Former LSU, any other team in the nation. And in the tournament, your bench is huge. Huge. They can't shoot the three.
No.
They can. They're 275th in the nation. It's not close. But they're one of the best teams defending at the rim. Mm-hmm. All right, and that's the 25th best team in the nation defending at the rim. And then we flip it over. All right. This game is just it's such a tough call to me. I always like in these type of games, I like the dog in this game. Would y'all say it was 3.5?
3.5.
3.5. I would realistically almost take that. Texas A&M, what is it?
Corpus Christi?
Yes,
Texas
exactly.
A&M.
I wish.
Texas A&M CC.
They're the 29th fastest offensive tempo in the nation. Half-court offense is not good. They're not a great shooting team either. They want to run. All right, they want to run and get to the basket. So these are two teams that are good at kind of the opposite things running into each other. So what's going to come down to is, one, the free throw line.
Yeah.
The bench is going to be huge for Texas Southern. And who has the most success at the rim? Mm-hmm. All right, and a huge part in this game to me is, what's the referee going to be called like?
Who knows?
Is it going to be a physical game? Is it going to be a rugby match? Or is it going to be, are we out there playing badminton, don't touch each other, we're going to put a net between y'all? So what I think, whatever the referee is like and who can get to the free throw the most, I think is going to win this game.
Yeah, and before we move on to Indiana and Wyoming, one little little nugget that I dug up when we ran the experiments. Like I said, we put liquid paper on a bee. It died, unfortunately. But Texas Southern, from a blocks against standpoint, so we're talking about attacking the rim, right?
Yeah.
When they attack the rim, they only getting blocked, I think, 6.1% of the time, which I believe is top 5 in the country. That's a sneaky little nugget when you're looking at this game with two teams that are going to run to the rim. And if one team is hitting threes, it's probably going to be a blitzkrieg, honestly, on the other one. But I do want to move on. Indiana and Wyoming. Go ahead, Cone.
Just one more final point. Just because I think that this encapsulates this season in college basketball, Texas Southern started the year 0-7 until they beat Florida, like you were talking about, by 15.
That's just
does that not encapsulate this season in college basketball? 0-7, Texas Southern beats Florida by 15.
I mean, it's a mixture of Inception and Shutter Island.
Yeah,
like it's a dream within a dream, which do I know it's a dream? Wait, it's not a dream. You had a tragedy happen. So when you look at Indiana and Wyoming, I see the line at Indiana -4. And initially, when you look at the way Indiana plays, and then I've watched Wyoming play. Maldonado, good player. Slow the pace down.
Yep.
It comes down to players making plays. And I look at Indiana's roster, and I look at Wyoming's roster. Now, if this was a bull riding match, I'd take Wyoming. If we were trying to figure out, the Yellowstone game of the week, I'm taking Wyoming. But this is basketball. Trace Jackson Davis, TJD, some other witches that Indiana's got running around. I mean, they stay with shooters. I don't see how Wyoming, number one, keeps Indiana in front of them. And what the hell are you going to do with Trace Jackson Davis other than hold hands and hope
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. And I think a lot of people will look at this one and say, oh, well, that's an easy one, right? Indiana blue blood basketball program over Wyoming. I'll go ahead and check that. Yeah, I agree, but not for those reasons. It's just what you said, Trace Jackson Davis. I don't know. I mean, look, anybody who's in this field is a good basketball team, right? So Wyoming can certainly play basketball, but what are they going to do with Trace Jackson Davis? I mean, he's going to be a problem moving on to St. Mary's and beyond in this Eastern region. He's going to be a problem for a lot of these teams. So I don't think Wyoming's going to have an answer. I think Indiana could make a run again because they're playing good basketball at the perfect time.
Yeah, and I think, Blaine, Indiana being a play-in game with the brand name, the tradition of Indiana basketball, I think they're going to come in a little bit perturbed, to use a word I don't think I've ever used.
Well, Indiana should be pissed, in my opinion, after what happened in that Iowa game.
Yeah.
And how it ended. If it's me as a player, I'm pissed because, in my opinion, y'all played a better game than those guys.
But you lost, though.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say you deserve to win, but I don't think Iowa won it. I think you lost it late in that game. But the thing about this is Wyoming's a type of team that's extremely scary to me because they play more inside out than anybody in the nation. They want to get the ball in the paint, and they got some bruisers down there now. A couple 6'9" guys, 240, 250 pounds, but they want to slow the pace down, kick the ball inside, just hook shot after hook shot after hook shot, and they're a big analytical team. But then I go to Indiana. I love this Indiana basketball team. They're getting Jordan Geronimo back, who's been hurt, who didn't play in the Big Ten tournament, who's 6'7", big frame. He's going to be big on the defensive side. Trace Jackson Davis is an NBA player.
He is.
He is. But I don't think he's what makes this team go.
You're gonna say
it's Xavier Johnson. Yeah. It's X, the point guard. You go back, what's his name, Yogi Ferrell? I think
Yogi
Indiana
Ferrell.
hadn't been in the tournament for 6 years.
Yeah, which is
for 6 years, which is crazy to think about. Is because you think Indiana, blue blood, baby, they're up there. They're always in it. They're always making big moves, beating big teams. But Xavier Johnson makes this team go, and the way they've kind of trended up in that Big Ten tournament. These two guys, if they play well, they're going to be a tough team to beat. And you go through, look kind of through their matchups they have in the tournament, they could make a little run.
Could
here.
it be like a UCLA-esque run last year?
Yeah, for sure.
UCLA beats Michigan State in that playing game. They run all the way to the 4. Could we see something like that?
Look, like you said, going back to it, momentum's a real thing. And before we move on, because I want to pick our most overrated team in each region, and again, all the other shows, everybody loves the underdog, right? Everybody loves the underdog. America, underdog story, average Joe style, right? Sometimes we fall in the trap, I think, of, the pace of this team is really going to slow down the other team, and we just assume that the team that's not the underdog is going to have to play to the pace of the other team. That's not how it works most of the time. I think Indiana can dictate the pace. Because look, Wyoming, talking about analytical, from a shots made standpoint, if you want to dictate the pace and you want to slow people down, you got to make a lot of shots. So you make a shot, they got to throw it in, you got to get back. And some teams can get it, throw it in, and run up the court in 3 seconds. But if you're missing shots, these are the teams that get out and run. They get the ball, they get out and run, and you dictate the pace. So I don't want our audience to fall in the trap. Sometimes it does happen. Right, we watched UCLA do it last year. We've watched teams advance in the NCAA tournament by slowing it down. But just because you play a slow style of basketball doesn't mean you're always going to set the pace. Because if that was the case, then everybody would do it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, here's one thing to consider, though, for Wyoming fans is, let's say they come out, you get 2 fouls on Trace Jackson Davis in the first 5 minutes, right? That first under 16 timeout, you've already gotten 2 fouls on him, and Wyoming is shooting 45% from the floor and 50% from 3. All of a sudden, this turns into a ball game.
For sure. If you're shooting 50% from the 3, you're going to beat a lot of teams.
All of a sudden, they could advance, and now all of a sudden, you got Seton Hall in the next round.
Yeah, well, I think Wyoming has to play their best game to win.
Or St. Mary's, sorry.
All right, you're talking about St. Mary's. I think in this Wyoming-Indiana matchup, Wyoming has to play their best game to win, and Indiana has to play a bad game to lose.
Okay.
I think Indiana playing a good game wins this game, and possibly we'll wait till picks they cover. But Booster Club, Lane, anything we got going from there before we move on to the most overrated team in each region?
Yeah, absolutely. Gregory Lawrence with the question.
G-Law.
Does Tennessee become a victim of Rick Barnes doing his normal break dance falter come tournament time?
I'm not a huge trends guy.
You're not?
Okay, even when I'm betting. I'm not fashion genius either. I mean, they put.
I think you look great. Oh.
Well, again, I had a little bit of input.
Okay.
I don't like looking back and saying, "Oh, well, this guy has struggled here, this guy struggled," because we've seen coaches that have struggled in the tournament go do well. We've seen coaches that have done really well in the tournament fall flat on their face eventually. I mean, Virginia loses to a 16 seed and then wins it the next year. Okay, so I'm not a big trends guy. Rick Barnes, he has had some trouble in the tournament. But I think every team is different because it's more about the players. Like, a coach has a ton of effect. Obviously, we know that. Duh. But Tennessee as a team right now, that they're on fire. I think it's more about the players and the locker room than it is about the coach and everything that gets called. I think sometimes that gets overblown. Mm-hmm. That's what I think. What else, B?
All right, we got a lot of people pushing back. All right.
On Wyoming, Indiana?
No, on me saying the Iowa-Indiana game. You go back and look at that game.
Indiana did outplay them for most.
They did outplay them. I'm saying Iowa didn't deserve to win that game. They did make clutch shots, but go back and watch late in that game. Indiana made some crucial turnovers at terrible times. And when you play teams like that who are kind of almost equal or a little bit better than you athletically on the basketball court, you can't turn the ball over because turnovers lead to what? Transition buckets. And I was getting transition 3 after transition 3.
Read the comments. What do the comments say about pushing back?
Okay, we have Tony Glocken. To say Iowa did win that game versus Indiana is pretty harsh. Didn't say that. They made clutch shots.
Hey, Glock, do it, Glock.
They made clutch shots and went on a big run at the end. The final shot was lucky, but the game was tied at that point and would have gone in OT with all the mo on Iowa's side. I'm not saying Iowa didn't deserve to win that game or they didn't win the game. I'm saying Indiana made the mistakes you can't make versus a team that's just as good as you are better in big games, and that's turnovers versus an Iowa team that wants to get out in transition and who can just absolutely moisturize from the 3, and that's what happened late in that game.
All right, we got a question.
Booster Club, stay on Blaine.
Stay on him
now.
Good.
Stay on him. Let him hard.
All right, yeah, John Green, hashtag Ask Crane & Company. Can you speak some sense into my friend picking Gonzaga to win the Natty?
Oh, yeah. What a great segue into the next segment. Who's overrated? Cone, I'll let you run.
Where do we want to start? You want to start in the West?
What? Let's start in the West.
Okay.
Mr.
West. I'm not going to steal your Gonzaga thunder. So I'm going to go Duke. I have to go Duke at this point.
Wow.
Look, I know you have them riding all the way.
Wow.
I thought they could make a good run too, and maybe they still can. I'm just saying, the way they're playing basketball right now, okay, I think that they're the most overrated of the top seeds here in the West. They had a chance to close out North Carolina in Cameron, Coach K's last final game. They didn't do it. They had a chance to build some momentum there in the ACC championship. They didn't do it. I mean, look, yeah, we could have, again, like we were talking about, UCLA kind of played poorly last year, went on a big run. There's a lot of teams here that could do that haven't been playing great recently. I think of a Houston team who you're kind of bullish on right now. But right now, Duke's not giving me any confidence to go on a major run like you have them. Am I wrong?
Did Duke win the regular season in the ACC?
Yeah, the ACC's.
Okay.
Okay, let's not act like the ACC was the Mega Ranger when all the Power Rangers
Thank you. Does that even
Look, I'm definitely not saying it's the Mega Ranger.
Shut up, Kimberly.
There's not a conference here that's a Mega Ranger.
Tell me why I'm wrong, though. Why am I wrong?
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I guess you could kind of say the same thing about Auburn, right?
I'll say the same thing about Auburn.
All right, okay, that's fine. I can't wait till we get to the mid.
Right
we get to the Midwest. I hope I hear Auburn in the Midwest then.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. Go ahead and say yours.
All right. Well, I'm taking Gonzaga. That's my most overrated. Because I believe in Duke. The only thing that scares me about Duke is their 3 best players are freshmen. All right. And when I kind of hit on earlier in the show, you really only get it. Experience in the tournament if you've been in it to get that kind of feel and know how important it is to you if you've been in it. But Gonzaga, have they had guys in it? Drew Timme, Nimhart, these guys? Yeah. But do they play high schoolers every week? Yeah, they do. I'm pretty sure I played against Gonzaga 3 times this year. We didn't win. But, I look at them against a team that can run, all right, and that's athletic. And I look at this bracket, and that's the Arkansas Razorbacks. That's who can do that. So I think Gonzaga and Chet Holmgren, amazing player. Top 5 pick. Will do dumb things at important times. Okay. I saw Chet Holmgren bring the ball up 5 times against St. Mary's and turn it over 3 times. There's stuff you can't do in the tournament, especially if you're not hitting shots. And if Drew Timme runs into someone who's a little bit bigger than him and is kind of bulky and can move, There's not going to be no post hooks. I'm doing this.
I'm going to dribble all the way down the court and just.
If that's not going to happen, you're going to get buried in there, and then you're going to rely on Nembhard to get all your points because you're not going to get them from everybody else.
Yeah, or
Chet's going to
better
pull
ball off, or Strother better ball off.
Threes. You know, Chet will make freshman mistakes, but I would say Gonzaga is the most overrated team to me.
Okay, Greeny, I want you to make sure your friend hears this because I'm going to tell him right now he needs to get off the Gonzaga bandwagon. Blaine brings up a lot of good points. But if you look at this bracket that Gonzaga's in, we talk about athletic teams with athletic guards giving problems. Just look at their body of work this year. Because, again, this is not last year's Gonzaga team. Jalen Suggs isn't coming back. He's in the NBA. Memphis, athletic. UConn, super athletic. Arkansas, scrappy, athletic, and low-key pissed. Texas Tech, they'll fight you in the back alley with the broken glass they found at the bar. Michigan State, they can throw them a little bit. So there's Rutgers, Alabama, a team that already beat them by 9. Gonzaga is a good story. It's a great story. But like I say all the time, you want to know what else is a great story? Hansel and Gretel, the little engine that could. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Cincinnati
from last year in football. Those are all great stories. Gonzaga's not an elite team because they're going to get out-athleted. And some people say, oh, they have Hickman. Oh, they have Nembhard. Oh, they have Chet Holmgren. That's fine. You can believe that. You can believe that with all your might, soul, and everything. But I'm telling you right now, and tell your buddy I said this. I've said it for weeks. They're going to be They better hope Memphis doesn't beat Boise State. They better hope they don't. And Boise State, I think the shortest guy they got is like 6'5". If Memphis gets past Boise State, they have a good shot to beat Gonzaga. But if Gonzaga meets up, which they will, with either UConn or Arkansas in the Sweet 16, that Dragon's getting slayed, buddy. It's getting slayed. Because Drew Timme doesn't have the protection he had last year. There's no Chris Paul ain't showing up for State Farm making everybody feel better. They don't have the protection they had last year. You can tell your buddy that Jake Crane puts a stamp on it.
Greeny, I have some different advice. Don't tell your buddy anything. Let him ride.
Y'all put a bet on it.
Let him ride the Gonzaga train, and you have a better chance of winning your bracket pool then.
All right. Let's roll to the next division. We're gonna get this Bruce Pearl interview.
South,
Illinois. You're gonna run into Houston. Everybody's picking UAB. I love Jelly Walker. All right, UAB plus 8.5. Houston, veteran team, won a lot of games. What do I say? It's like bringing gifts to the VFW, right? There's nothing like some good veteran presence. And they got tons of veteran presence on that Houston team. Kelvin Sampson does a really good job. I think Illinois, before I put my picks out there, maybe going down like a sweet muffin when they run into Houston the second
I don't disagree the way they've been playing, but I'm actually going to go Villanova. Now, look, I kind of like Villanova. I like Villanova more than I like Duke, but the questions still remain. What's with the low post presence when they run into E.J. Liddell in the second round?
We may be swimming in the same water.
We may be bet buds in the second round. I'm just saying the Buckeyes are a problem to deal with. So right now, I think Villanova is the most overrated in that region.
Well. Look what we have here, David. It seems that we agree on something in the South bracket. All right, I'm taking it's Villanova, right? You know what you got with Gillespie. You know what you got with the Moore. Those are your guys. Brandon Knight, he's going to drive to the basket.
Samuels Jr.
Right? Yeah. If they don't have a true big. They really don't. You run into Ohio State or Loyola Chicago, which I'm still kind of bullish on Loyola, to be honest with you.
Get it.
This is a dangerous matchup. And I don't got to beat Tennessee right now. Tennessee's the hottest team on the planet, maybe in the solar system. So if it's me, I saw Colin Gillespie miss 2 free throws in a row. And after I saw that, I kind of think.
All right, you want to go to the East?
Go to the East.
I'm going to break your heart.
Go.
The most overrated team in the East is the UCLA Bruins. Guess what? There's no DeLorean that's going to show up and be like, all right, let's go back to last year. They were a playing team. They were underrated. Dog mentality. Nobody believes in us. Now, they're a house cat. They got their milk brought into them. They're a 4 seed. We can wait. Ha, ha, ha. Haven't been sold on them all year. I said yesterday, Jaquez made shots. I don't think he's going to make in this year's tournament. Johnny Juzang, I like him. Hasn't been able to stay healthy. Hasn't been as consistent. Tiger Campbell was great in Major Payne, but I don't think he's going to be great in this NCAA tournament. I think UCLA is the most everybody's picking, again, with the pace. They go back to pace.
Yeah.
And they think just because the team runs slow, they're going to dictate the pace always. That's not how it works. Read a book.
Here's one of the reasons I think you may be wrong on that one. If UCLA played great last season and then went to the Final Four and then they played poorly this season, which they've had some.
They have, but they are a 4 seed, even though the Pac-12 kind of.
Well, then I would say, okay, yeah, I agree. They just haven't rekindled that magic from last season. But they didn't play that well in the regular season or in the tournament last season and still went on a run. They did the same thing this season and return all the guys. They still have Johnny Juzang, Tiger Campbell, Jaquez. They have those guys. So usually with what I'm saying with these other teams, yes, momentum is the key factor, but I've seen this core group from UCLA do it. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe they go on a run. Maybe they piece something together here, especially when they're in the same half of the region with my most overrated team, which is Baylor. Look, and a large part of that is because of the injuries they had to deal with. I know they were on a good run early in the season, but I don't think Baylor's going to be. I don't think we're dealing with a back-to-back champions situation.
I don't think
here.
I don't think you're too.
You picking Baylor?
Baylor.
Well, we meet again. I'm taking Baylor as well. If I really wanted to, if I could pick two teams, it'd be Baylor and UCLA. I don't believe in UCLA realistic. Johnny Juzang could close his eyes last year, and every shot was going.
I'm telling you.
Every shot was going. It was amazing to watch. But Baylor, to me, if Baylor's not shooting well, they're not that great of a basketball team. Not the same defense as last year. I mean, you don't got Donovan. I can't remember the other kid's name, but not the same defense as last year. I mean, you got Flagler. Flagler's shooting well. They do a lot better. But I'm telling you, one thing, that Baylor, Norfolk State.
Davion Mitchell?
Davion Mitchell.
Yep. And then Butler was the other guy.
Yeah, that Baylor, Norfolk State game. Watch it now. I'm telling you. If it's not that game, then, watch out for them Tar Heels in the next round. But if I had to pick in the East, it'd be Baylor.
All right, Midwest, real quick.
Midwest,
Blaine,
go ahead.
Back to you.
Back to me? All right. I went back and forth on this between Wisconsin and Kansas. Wisconsin's only good when Johnny Davis is rolling. Kansas is only good when Abaji's rolling. So I'm going to take Kansas. I'm going to take Kansas over. I've been bullish on Kansas all year, not being that good as people say they are.
I bet you got them out in the Sweet 16.
You are correct.
And I know who's against too, I bet.
They go as Abaji goes. McCormick's been playing better lately, but I still think if Abaji's not performing the way he has to, if he's not dropping 20+, getting back on defense, doing this, hitting the 3-ball, they don't really, they have one other guy they can realistically go to. And if McCormick's not playing well, their inside presence is not that good. So I would say Kansas is my most overrated team.
All right, in the Midwest, I'm going Providence. I don't think they're going to lose to South Dakota State. I don't think the Jackrabbits, outrun the hare in that one. I do question their just decision-making as a team. That's why you look in the second round, who could they run into? Iowa, coming off a Big Ten tournament championship. When Providence isn't, when Reeves, and look, Bynum on the drive, man, that guy is unbelievable on the drive. But when they're not making threes, I don't think, they don't do a good enough job of getting the ball into Nate Watson and realizing, hey, the ball's not falling. You've seen Providence have some really high moments. You've seen them have some low moments. But you remember, I go back and think and playing against Villanova, some of these other games in the Big East where they came out and they weren't hitting the three and they really didn't know what to do. They just kept forcing it and forcing it and forcing it. And what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. You're going to run into Iowa in the second round, and if those threes aren't falling, Iowa's been hotter than a firecracker in Tucson lately. So I think Providence is the most overrated.
I like both those picks, but I'm going to go Wisconsin. They've lost their last two, and I've seen nights where they shoot 12% from three. I've seen it. And you're talking about possibly running into a team like LSU, Auburn, Southern Cal. I just think
LSU's an interesting matchup if they get by Iowa State.
Circle the wagons for Will Wade. I don't know, man. Maybe they go to the 16 or the 8. I don't know.
It is. Well, speaking about circling the wagons, Auburn, winner of the SEC regular season championship. Very lucky to be joined by Coach Bruce Pearl. Check out our interview with him today. A lot of scouting going on and stuff like that, but he was kind enough to join us today. Excited to welcome in number 2 seed in the Midwest region, head coach of Auburn University, Bruce Pearl, one of my favorite guys to interview. Coach, I appreciate you joining us, and congrats on a great season.
Jay, boy, it's good to be with you and your team.
Yes, sir. Well, I want to get right into it, Coach. Coming to a place like Auburn, you were at Wisconsin, Milwaukee, had success. We're at Tennessee, had success. Coming into a place like Auburn and changing the culture, and I know, you've had a lot of great assistants, a lot of great players, but getting to the point now where going to the NCAA tournament is a regular thing at Auburn. Just what does it mean to you to see the culture, the jungle's nuts at the newly named Neville Arena? Just what does it mean to you?
Well, you know what? I didn't really change the culture. I just tapped in to the culture that was already here. It just wasn't here in men's basketball, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was on our campus. You know, it's a great university. There's something about Auburn family. There's something about trying to be an Auburn man or an Auburn woman. There's a value system here. There's a love of country, a love of God, love of your neighbor, and I could tap into that and make that. Because that's what we've always done. That's who we are, authentically. And so to bring guys in here to work hard, do the things that God might bless, be an unbelievable teammate, not be jealous of another man's success. All those things are things that are values that are the culture at Auburn. And, as a result of doing some of that stuff, having great coaches and great players, we've been rewarded.
And Coach, the Southeastern Conference, it's amazing when you look at, not that the Southeastern Conference hasn't been good, but the level of play and the depth of team. I mean, there was no off night going on the road, even at home. Can you talk about the grind of this SEC regular season and what it means to be crowned the SEC regular season champion in what, in my opinion, was the best year from a depth standpoint the league's ever had?
How about that? How about that Auburn was able to stand tall enough to be the regular season champion in a year when the league was maybe the best it's ever been. Now, it was a grind. And I would say this, I think it's taken a bit of a toll on us in the sense that we're not hot right now. We're not playing our best basketball. We're not shooting it great. We're not rebounding it at quite the highest level. Our energy level is good, but it's not. We're not in fuego. And I think part of it is just the grind of that regular season. Now, it's prepared us. And are we going to be able to now, kind of get some more wind in our sails and get our effort and our energy level up to a peak, which then can carry us over and then hopefully elevate our play? That's what you try to do when you're trying to have one shining moment.
Definitely, Coach, and you've been there, and the success you've had in the tournament. I believe your overall record's 15-10, which is really dadgum good in a single elimination tournament. But that kind of reset a little bit when you get done with the conference tournament, having a couple extra days to get a little healthy, go get in the gym a little bit, and get it back. How is that something you can use as a motivating factor, kind of to get guys, kind of the wind beneath their sails a little bit more?
Well, you can. I think at this time of the year, less is more.
Yeah.
So we're going to have shorter practices, but they'll be hard. And, today will be a contact day. We'll probably have one really good contact day. We're going to scrimmage Jacksonville State today against our scout team and go at it, pretty good for about 20 minutes and see how we do. Get some film on it, see what was successful, see what we struggled with. And, but I do think that I would rather have them fresh and furious, obviously, than overtrained. I want them excited about the opportunity. Look, we worked hard to put ourselves in position to be able to make some noise in this tournament. But sometimes the toughest game to win is the first one. Jacksonville State, it was a 65-59 game at Alabama. They lost by like a bucket at Wichita State. They won their league and during a regular season. So it's a really good team, really well-coached team. And they've got athletes. And they've also got some D1 transfers that won't necessarily, they're not going to be intimidated by Auburn.
Yeah, and again, it's crazy in this tournament. And Coach, I got a couple more that I'm going to skip past to use some basketball terminology to my co-host here for a couple. But, Coach, looking at this tournament and looking at the field and looking at the way college basketball was this year, I mean, last year you looked at Baylor and Gonzaga and you could tell, at least in my opinion, they were the elite of the elite. This year I look around, and is this the most wide open field that you've seen in a while in an NCAA tournament? Because I'm trying to pick the bracket myself, and I might as well just, start putting my hand in a hat and picking out pieces of paper at this point. I
agree with you. I don't think you could find a chink in the armor, with everybody. Gonzaga obviously being the number one seed overall, and they're a great team. But they lost to Alabama, who lost 9 games in the SEC. So there's, they're in Seattle. So there's something there, with the right kind of a matchup, maybe. Arizona had a phenomenal year. And I think the Pac-12 is better than what people give it credit for. But, they went to Tennessee and gave Tennessee all they wanted. So, I mean, they're a pretty strong 1 seed as well. Kansas was probably the most tested team out there of the 1 seeds, top to bottom, as far as their strength is with the Big 12. But you can go to the 2 line, you can go to the 3 line, you can even get out to the 4 line and make a case for any of those teams. So I agree with you. It's going to be it's going to be a very that's one of the most challenging brackets to pick I've seen in a long time.
Coach, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. Jabari Smith, if you could sum him up in 1 word, how would you sum up Jabari Smith? Mine is alien. What would yours be?
Fiercely competitive. If you put those 2 words together,
Yeah, hyphen.
Yeah, with a hyphen, yeah. He's fierce. He's not afraid of the moment. He wants to win, but he also knows how to win. He knows how to bring a team along and give other guys in the roster confidence. And, he's such a great kid that our guys are so happy for him and how he's developed and improved throughout the season and how he's made us help make us such a great team this year.
Yeah. All right, Coney, I'm going to bounce pass it your way. You're the closest to Walker Kessler's size on here at 6'7". So
I wish I could play like him.
Yeah.
Coach, congrats on a great regular season. I want to go back to the point you made about not being in fuego right now. College basketball, to me, more than any other sport, is impacted by momentum. You're one of the best in the business at being able to manage momentum. What are you telling your team right now beyond just the X's and O's matchups to be able to have them go win 6 in a row?
Just trying to get them to understand and appreciate that this is going to be something they're going to remember forever. Our greatest strength is the fact that these guys came together. They came together. And would they like to make history that'll last a lifetime? And don't they want to do it together? So therefore they got to rely on each other. And I think we play best when everybody contributes. And so I want them to, I don't want them to look back and say, man, I had no idea how special that could have been, was, or wasn't. I want them to understand going in how truly special, it really is. And it's more special for them than it is for me. I've been at 20 or 21 or 22 of these. It's them. I don't have anybody. Walker Kessler was the only guy that's been in the tournament, and Kentucky didn't last. North Carolina got beaten in the first round. That's the only NCAA tournament experience we have. Wow. And so that would be something that I want to. We need to get experience on the job, and the only way we do that is by winning our first game, and then we become an experienced team.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a great point.
Yep.
Absolutely. Hey, Coach, first, congrats on all the success. You deserve it. Got a question. My father was a coach, and I was a coach as well. But, I never really got to coach with him on the sidelines. How special is it to you when you get to look down that bench and see your son Steven there and not only grow as a person, but as a coach, and, y'all both get to go on this journey together?
Well, if you think back to your life's greatest accomplishments, whether it be the birth of a child or something that happened that was wonderful for the family, the fact that you shared it with who you shared it with. Yeah. That's why championships are so special, because you shared it with that group of coaches and that group of players. There was so much blood, sweat, and tears that went into all that. And so getting to share my life, with my son is the ultimate thrill. I mean, what father, wouldn't want to have his son in his life? And I'm blessed to have 4 wonderful children, an amazing wife, and I from my standpoint, to share this life with them in this journey. Because look, my kids forever have had less of me. Because so much is required of me as a coach with my players and my staff, my university, my community. That's the only way we could be successful. And so they've gotten less of me. But my family is still close. I got a daughter, Jackie, lives in Knoxville. My daughter, Leah, lives in Atlanta. My 2 sons are here in Auburn. And so they get me longer than most dads get their children. It's just that because they didn't have a lot of me when they were growing up.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I really appreciate you joining us. I know it's a crazy time as you guys get ready to go. Best of luck to you. It's going to be a hell of a tournament, and good luck going to grab that one shining moment.
Amen, brother. War Eagle, thank you.
All right, see you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Scary team.
Yeah, look, Coach Pearl's one of the coolest.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he really is one of the coolest.
Like he's like. What he's on the court, like he's almost the same energies. If you meet him in person, it's the same exact.
That's exactly right. Like it's actually genuinely how he is. But speaking about genuinely how we are, if you want to catch or listen to the rest of the show, head over to the Daily Wire, become a member, or listen on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe, leave a 5-star review. We're trying to be the #1 prospect in the country, and share it with all your friends. Also, the NCAA tournament is obviously upon us, and we want to share in the madness with you. Let's lose our minds together. That's why we're doing a Crane & Company Bracket Challenge, the greatest bracket challenge in the history of the universe/world. So go to bracketchallenge2022.com, sign up, enter your bracket to compete against us and other Daily Wire hosts for the top spot. Ben Shapiro's filling one out too. The best brackets will receive a special Crane & Company prize. There's actually a lot of prizes to go with it. So go to bracketchallenge2022.com and join us. We'll be right back with the Booster Club and our picks. Scared money don't make money.